my thing is when it comes to paying for the first date is, a lot of people say, you don't get to keep the traditional gender roles that benefit you and disregard the rest. So you have a bunch of like liberal feminist women who like it's a deal breaker if the guy won't pay for the first date. Yet they refuse to adhere to their own gender roles.
That's why I can't agree like with paying, like making you pay on the first date, because like it just doesn't add up with my other
I'm not like saying
opinions.
I'm making him pay. It's more so if he's asking me.
Take care of
or just thinking that you're going to be like in the shitter after that. That's I think.
If you don't like gender roles, then you shouldn't expect a man to pay for you on the first date.
Yeah.
You got to be consistent.
Wait, what's your response to that?
Oh, Jesus. Like, I guess gender role, I mean, like, to negate gender roles doesn't mean that, like, the person who, like, asks you out, or, like, if you're a submissive type, want to be taken care of. I can't really explain it. It's like a mother's tell your daughter's thing, he should pay for your first date. And
that's gender roles, though.
Yeah.
So that means you believe in traditional gender roles, which I agree with you, but I believe in traditional gender roles.
I believe in certain gender roles.
Like in the form of like your hormones.
But you only believe in the ones that benefit you as a woman.
No.
Okay.
Not all.
Well, I think too, like you're saying, I don't think you necessarily have to abide by traditional gender roles to assume that a guy would offer to pay for a date that he asked you on. I don't think that that's like necessarily completely true. It's like situation based. So like, for me, if a guy asked me on a date, I would still offer to pay, but I would expect him to offer as well because he's asking me. And if he offered, like, I would probably say like yes and say thank you, but that doesn't mean that I think that, I should be a housewife and only like clean in the kitchen, and that I shouldn't be independent. Like, I feel like it's deeper than that.
But if you don't believe in gender roles, then why do you think that men should in general pay for the date?
I don't think men should in general. That's why I said like whoever is asking, I think it would be respectful of them to offer, because like they're asking someone else to come out and they're initiating the hangout. But
and the majority of men ask, like we said,
but the whole whoever asks thing is at best naive, because it ignores the fact that overwhelmingly men are the ones asking. So, I mean, you can sort of play a word game and say, well, whoever asks should pay. But if men are overwhelmingly, let's say not in 95% of instances, the one who are asking, you might as well put an equal sign. Whoever asks, just replace whoever asks with men.
Okay, but like I said, I'm not the kind of person who, if a guy asked me to go on a date and I had an amazing time and met an incredible person and then had the best night of my life, I'm not just going to be like, oh, there's no second date because like he didn't offer to pay and he was like, hey, do you mind if we split this? That's not me personally. So I think that I can say,
and that's totally fine. However, I think a lot of women would prefer the guy to pay, and for a fair amount of women that might be just a deal breaker, full stop. If regardless of how good the date would, it'd just be a instant stopper. Hey, he paid, or he wanted to split.
Wait, I have a question.
No longer interested. And we've had girls on the show admit as such. Go ahead.
Do you, when you're on a date, like, do you expect like the guy to like open up the door for you, like pull out your seat when you like sit down for dinner, like those like gestures, or like drive you to the date?
I think that people are such like unique beings, and we come from different families and have different life stories and cultures, and so I don't come in with the expectation of who I want them to be. I let them show me who they are, and that might be like a traditional role that they're playing, and I'll still like have respect for that, but I'm not looking for that, and that's not like a deal breaker for me at all.
But you also said that women should pay for a date, but then you said you don't care about how much money they make. So it's kind of the same way of you saying to us, oh, but you want a man to
They're
pay.
different gestures, though.
I'm just saying, like, what you said to me is the same thing you said.
No, but I don't.
It's literally the same thing.
I said I would think it's actually attractive if a girl offered to pay for the date.
But you said women should pay.
Huh?
But you said women should pay on the first date.
Well, I was being a little facetious because no sane man would expect a woman to pay. So.
But you do.
But it's also like,
no. I think what I said was
a fetish
is that men shouldn't pay, and I think it should be split. To me, that's the most egalitarian thing. That makes the most sense. to me.
But you are also saying you want to pay for your girlfriend to basically for everything. You said you want to pay the bills.
No, so okay, I'm open to that. I'm open to that.
Okay.
But it's not like I'm just exclusively dating women who are unemployed or in college, like, so.
I think she's kind of saying too, like, it's a positive thing that you can admit being attractive to something, like, while still kind of maybe respecting and wanting those traditional roles in your own future and your own relationship. You can also, find it attractive if a woman does something that's like not really that traditional, thing.
It's also even like not that I'm like making the man pay for everything. Like every date that I've been on, especially with my boyfriend to this day, like I'll still like hand out my card, but they just refuse to like let me pay. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna make you pay for the whole entire thing. Like you have to pay. Like I'm always gonna offer, but
I always offer too, to be nice.
I paid for
but here's
nice.
a question with you offer to pay. If the guy took you up on your offer, would you be a bit, I mean, I know you're married, but like, let's say when you weren't, when you're still dating or whatever, would you be kind of turned off if he took you up on the offer?
Yes.
no.
I like that my husband I would offer to be nice and like
But secretly
to be
you would-
polite, but like he would be like, no way, you're not paying for anything on any date that we ever go on.
Okay.
And I like that.
You like that?
Yeah.
But if a guy were to have taken you up on the token offer, let's say, you would be a little deal breaker?
It would
or
be a
just
deal
bit
breaker. I would
it would
pay, but then it would be no second date.
See, I got to challenge you a little bit on this here. So,
Okay.
So, women often complain that men are poor communicators, but if you offer to pay, I feel like men are very literal, logical thinkers. So, like, when I think of that, if a girl offers to pay, and then say a guy in good faith takes up that offer, and then you disqualify him because of the words that came out of your mouth, wouldn't that quite literally be poor communication?
I guess in a sense, but I think that's like interactions with humans. There's gestures that you do to be polite, and you know that there's just throughout life, there's gestures that people will do and you don't necessarily take it up on. And it's more just about that guy's values, truthfully. Like what I loved about my husband is that he's the type that feels that a girl should never pay for a date that they're on. And so for him, that was like not acceptable, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So like, I guess it's one thing if like if you're like, oh, I want to help pay for this date or whatever. And he's like, no. And you really, really pushed it. Like, truthfully, I went on a date with someone a few years ago before I was married, and I didn't really want to have a second date, and I kind of thought it was more of a friendship thing. And so, like, on that date, I, like, really, really was like, no, I'll pay, because I didn't want to feel like I, like, owed him anything, if that made sense.
Yeah.
And so then he ended up, like, agreeing. And so, like, I think if you're, like you said, more forceful about it, then I don't think that makes you, like, a horrible guy if you end up.
Yeah, and I have heard that from women where if the girl knows she's not interested, sometimes they will offer to split. So I have heard that from women. But look, I think the reason why I'm sort of hesitant to, off the jump, fall into the provider role, fall into traditional gender roles, is especially here in California, I would say 90% of women are not traditional women.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not going to pay for a girl. This is what I always say. I don't want to pay for a girl who's fucking another dude.
Yeah.
And like in 2023, realistically, like a lot of girls have some dude that they're fucking and they're going on dates with other guys. So like, I don't want to be a sucker. That's what it comes down to. I don't want to feel like a sucker. So I don't want to go pay for a girl, even if it's fucking $10. It's not even a money
principle,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a principle thing. So I don't want to feel like a sucker, even if it's $10. Like, I don't want to feel like a sucker. So